So good afternoon. I guess I'm standing between you and your lunch, so I'll try to be brief and concise and keep to the time. So my name is Martin. It's a real privilege to be here with you. I'm from Google, obviously. I'd like to talk about our approach to AI, Gen AI in particular, and also talk about our partnership. I'm very proud of the partnership that we have with the Singapore government and how we are deepening it. I won't go through this. I guess we've heard so much about Gen AI and how it's been catapulted into the spotlight, how it's this truly object of fascination. And as the speakers earlier said, we are really at the start of this journey to discover the capabilities, the power, the reach of Gen AI. And we're going to go on this journey together, so I'm really excited. Now, for us in Google, our journey starts with our mission statement. Now, our mission statement at Google is to organize the world's information and to make it universally accessible and useful. Now, it's when it was first released, several years ago, it was ahead of its time. But if you look at the mission statement, I think it's even more relevant now, almost prescient, when you think about where we are with Gen AI and what Gen AI can do versus how, I guess, traditional AI was more scripted, more rules-based. You almost had to know the question to the answer that you wanted answered. With Gen AI, it can give you responses to questions that it was not specifically trained for. Now, we've had in Google a long history of working with AI. AI is embedded into all our applications. We've got billions of users on these applications. So we've got a lot of practice, deploying and using AI in these, large user-based applications. We've recently launched Bard. Bard is our public, you can say public LLM Gen AI service. It's now available in 40 languages across 140 countries. So we're very proud of that. And again, I think this journey is something which will continue. We will boldly work to add and include Gen AI into all our services. But we'll do it, I think the speakers spoke about responsibility and AI. We'll do it with a very deep sense of responsibility and with a higher sense of integrity. So let me just take you through what we mean. Now, again, the earlier speakers alluded to this. Gen AI clearly puts us, I think, in this third shift. The first shift started with the arrival of the internet. I think we heard about that. Second shift with mobile. Both created tremendous growth, both created tremendous new opportunities. With Gen AI, clearly, the momentum is building, but the impact will be equally, if not more, momentous. But if you think about how the challenges that we had to overcome, and which we will continue to have to overcome in delivering on this promise of AI, I think the challenges are wide. Again, many of these issues were touched on. From a technology side, clearly, engineering and hardware, software. Also, clearly, the debate on ethics, responsible AI, regulation is building up. From our perspective, we need to look at Gen AI and AI in general very holistically, right? You need to address all these issues, and you can't, pigeonhole them and, compartmentalize them. They all are important. At Google, our focus, firstly, has been to develop this field. We've got thousands of researchers and developers. They are contributing significantly in terms of pushing the boundaries of what's possible. They're also contributing their publications. Michael spoke about the transformer model, right? Again, this was invented by Google in 2017. It's important to highlight that, it's something which we deeply within Google believe in. We believe in contributing to the global knowledge, the collective global knowledge and experience, because I think it's important. That's the only way innovation can thrive in this world, right? So we're committed to continue to do that. At the same time, we'll continue to develop new models, new models for different sizes, for different devices of different sizes, new models fine-tuned on specific domain areas for specific tasks. I think these are important to consider. At the same time, when you think about Gen AI, again, alluded to in the discussion in the panel, the stakeholders from across all the different parts of the discourse, right, have expressed both optimism, excitement, as well as concern. Now, from our point of view, technology always is a few steps ahead of where the debate is, where regulation catches up with. But regardless of where we are, and regardless of where regulation is, we need to apply some standards. There are some standards which we must always stand by. In Google, we've got 6 core themes. These are the core themes which really determine our technology pursuits. There are 6 principles which help us decide whether or not a technology should be released or not, right? These are principles which are important. Example, how do you make sure that we are not creating or reinforcing unfair bias in the models which we train, right? How do you make sure that the AI is always accountable to people? Now, these are just principles, but these are principles which all of us need to share. And from a Google's perspective, these are the same principles which we are contributing to in terms of the international dialogue which is happening. Now, moving on, AI has been around, right? I love the use cases which we heard about. But the truth is, while many organizations are experimenting, have done pilots, have rolled out some AI applications, many have not deployed AI at scale. Now, the issue clearly is varied. Skills is one issue, but there are many other issues which we need to consider, which are unique to Gen AI. With Gen AI, I think we need to draw a very, very clear distinction between what's public and what's in enterprise. Both public and enterprise have got different needs, different requirements. Now, think about it. BART is our public Gen AI service. You use it, but when you use it, recognize that it's a public model, public service, right? So for an enterprise, just as an enterprise would not use Instagram or Facebook for a business conversation or a business discussion, you just wouldn't use these public models. You wouldn't use private content and enterprise content in a public model. The distinction needs to be clearly defined. The other, of course, let's just go into a little bit more detail. Enterprises are very concerned clearly with governance. We spoke about that at the panel as well. Control of the data. How enterprise data is used to train the models and in the entire AI development life cycle. Critical. Now, we need to address that, not just in principle, but also in the technology stack that we are using. Costs. Michael talked about the huge costs of training models. We need to recognize that there are a variety of use cases. We heard about many of them. And there are a variety of processes involved in deploying AI in these use cases. There's a cost involved in every inference. There's a cost involved in every recommendation. Now, does that cost for an enterprise match the benefit it's getting from deploying AI? We need to think about that. So it's important to recognize that deploying the largest model it's not always, the largest and latest model is not always the best strategy. We need to right-size the right models for that specific use case and be able to understand your cost-benefit model. Next, we need to make sure that the recommendations we get back are grounded in factuality. Accuracy is important. Let's recognize that large language models hallucinate. We all know that. How do they do it? We don't know sometimes, right? But it's important to recognize that, and it's important that we've got built-in ways to respond and answer how recommendations, the source of the data and information in which the recommendations were made, right? So this is an important factor. Security, needless to say, is not something which you add on. It's not something you bolt on. It's something you think about right from the outset, from day one. It needs to be part of the platform you use and in every part of the platform. So let's take a step back. And this is our perspective of our AI technology stack. So the point here is, while the model is important, and there will be new models coming up constantly, right? While the model is important, let's recognize that the platform which is being used for all the work is essential, truly essential. A platform which has the controls as well as the features needed to address the issues which I just talked about. Also, the features and the controls needed to support the different personas, the different users within the enterprise. Let's go into this in a bit more detail in terms of the Google platform. Our platform obviously starts at the bottom layer. We recognize that clearly, there's the models need to be trained, the models need to be served, that they are different, as I was saying, workloads. Does your platform and your infrastructure give you the different resources that you need for the different work? From Google, we've got TPUs, GPUs, CPUs. This, again, a variety of combination of these things are needed for perhaps high-performance model training. On the other hand, you may need different infrastructure to drive low-cost inference or large-scale data processing. Do you have the variety of these infrastructure resources to do all the above things? Because that's what you need. Talking about the personas, the different users within an enterprise, do you have a platform which serves not just one community, but all the communities within the enterprise? It's important because everything is linked. You can't treat them in silo, right? So for example, for the AI practitioner is very interested in being able to discover models. The AI practitioner is obviously very interested to have end-to-end machine learning AI development platform to not just discover models, to prepare data, to train models, to deploy models, to manage models, the whole end-to-end life cycle. We in Google, we've got this platform, it's called STACKx AI, and we've got a model garden where it's like a library. You can come in and select the models which we provide, our large language models, as well as available models from the public. Now, next layer is for the developer. Now, we talked about the exciting use cases and the exciting applications which have been built. Now, not all of developers have got deep machine learning capabilities, right? But at the same time, how do you have a platform to support these people? How do we help them very, very quickly create new generation Gen AI infused applications in a short time? Well, through our Gen AI app builder, we've got capabilities such as enterprise search, conversational AI, combined with available common models to help the developers build applications in a very, very quick fashion. And of course, we've got vertical use cases, vertical offerings which support specific domain needs. Now, let's talk about some other issues which are important. And I need to emphasize this because the issue of security keeps coming up. With Gen AI, right, there are unique challenges which need to be addressed. Now, the question which comes up often is, how do I make sure that my confidential data, right, is not used in training a model? How do I make sure that my IP is protected? How do I make sure that I want to roll out Gen AI, LLM, Ops. I want to roll out large-scale prompt management. How do I make sure that the context of my prompts is maintained? How do I make sure that I don't have to rerun all the prompts each time the model is upgraded? Now, within our platform, we assure you that your data is kept within your secure tenancy. Your data, including the training parameters, are all kept within your secure secured parameter. Your data is not used to train our models. Our models, in fact, are frozen. They sit outside your secure tenancy. For an AI practitioner who wants to train or customize a model, they do it through an adapter layer which sits within that secure tenancy. And that adapter connects to the large base model which is outside in a secure fashion. Now, these are very technical and fundamental issues which need to be addressed and which we've spent a lot of engineering time focusing on. And these are the resources and capabilities and features that we've added to our platform. Now, let's talk about use cases. Because I've looked at all the amazing use cases which have been showcased today, blown away. But if you think about Gen AI and the use cases, through our interactions with our clients, with many participants in our workshops, we find that the use cases for Gen AI tend to revolve around three broad themes. One, how do you make complex, and when I say complex data, you're talking about data in different formats, different forms, right? Reams and reams of documents. How do you make that complex data intuitively accessible? That's one amazing use case for Gen AI. Next, how do you empower conversational interactions in your websites, in your applications? And with conversational interactions, how do you upgrade, for example, your contact center operations? Next, content creation. Many of you are developers out there. You are all content creators. I think I looked at on the demo of Ghost, very exciting. But have a look at this video. I think you'll find it also very interesting. found that interesting. Now, I'm just going to talk about and come back to one topic, which is safety. I think safety is a very, very important topic. Again, as I started my session talking about this journey that we're on to discover the potential of AI, the reach of AI, from Google's point of view, a very holistic view needs to be looked at. While all of us are deploying Gen AI and AI boldly into the projects, the applications that we are working on, I think we need to do all this with the deepest sense of responsibility, right? And apply the highest standards of integrity. Now, it's just words, but how do we build and put all these principles into the tools, the enablement, the resources that you can use in your projects? That's what we're going to do, right? We're developing responsible AI tools and applications which will embed into our applications, and we'll also gladly make these available to you. Now, skipping to the next topic, which is our partnership. Google's partnership with the Singapore government. I'm really proud of this partnership. We've done a lot. I want to talk about what we've announced, right? With SNDGO as well as GovTech, we announced Artificial AI Government Cloud Cluster, AGCC for short. It builds on GCC2, right? It will be a dedicated state-of-the-art cluster sitting in Singapore, available for you. Which means your confidential information, data sovereignty, is maintained because it sits here, right? So it's an exciting partnership. I'm looking forward to how we can partner even more. And of course, it's not just infrastructure, which I talked about, which is available on this cluster. It's all the above, right? Features and controls and capabilities needed for the AI practitioner, for the developer, and for the business user. Next thing is, we also, together with DPM Heng, announced a broader strategic partnership. We want to work with Singapore, with all of you, us here in Singapore. We're proud Singaporeans. We want Singapore to be a global, open, and trusted AI hub. So this strategic partnership which we talked about, well, it's going to cover 4 things, right? Firstly, in the area of skills, I think that was talked about. How do we build the skills initiatives and support the skills initiatives to create the skills necessary to drive a thriving ecosystem, a thriving AI industry in Singapore? That's one. Secondly, how do we supercharge the use of AI and Gen AI, right? By the developer ecosystem, by startups, by companies based in Singapore. How do we supercharge that? So we're going to look at initiatives to do that, make resources available, drive the focus of Gen AI in Singapore, usage of it. Thirdly, we're going to work together to think about how we're going to advance AI responsibility initiatives. That's going to be very important. And fourthly, homegrown AI and AI technology. We want Singapore to be the hub, to be a center for a lot of these activities. So having homegrown capabilities to develop homegrown AI and AI technologies clearly is our common goal. So with that, let me just end my presentation. I hope I've not held you back from your lunch. Thank you for your kind attention, and I look forward to the partnership, the amazing partnership that we have between Google and the Singapore government. Thank you very, very much.